the center of Western civilization. The greatest athletes in the world traveling thousands of miles to compete in the most important sporting event of their time, the Olympic Games. These competitors, 2,500 years ago, came from as far away as Turkey and Italy to take part in some of the roughest, most exciting, and dangerous events ever performed in the history of organized sports. Today, much of this ancient world is lost. But one athlete has survived the ravages of time to offer a unique insight into that remarkable world. For the first time, we are able to recreate that athlete and his life, and the world in which he battled for Olympic glory. The city of Taranto in southern Italy. 2,500 years ago, long before even the Roman Empire, it was an outpost of Greek civilization. In 1959, archaeologists made an amazing discovery. Opening an ancient tomb, they found a magnificent sarcophagus. 4 richly decorated jars at each corner revealed that its owner had an obsession. An obsession for sports. Inside the sarcophagus, archaeologists found an unusually well-preserved skeleton and a shining alabaster perfume jar, a symbol of an athlete. This skeleton was more than a relic from the distant past. It was the world's only survivor from the arenas of the ancient games. Stephen Miller, professor of classics at the University of California, Berkeley.
I first learned about the discovery of this athlete and was dumbfounded. There he was, a real athlete, the physical remains of a person who actually competed in ancient games.
The athlete of Taranto has become our only direct link to an astonishing lost world. Hundreds of years before the birth of Christ, thousands of people from the distant outposts of ancient Greek civilization came to see the greatest athletes in the world. It was a time when sports were an obsession now shared by Sarah Palaskis. Based at UCLA, she studies the world inhabited by the ancient Olympians.
To be a big, successful athlete meant that you would gain so much honor. You would essentially be, for modern terms, a star.
Ancient records tell of champions like Leonidas of Rhodes, famed for winning every Olympic running event from 164 to 152 BC. Feared fighters like Sostratos of Sicyon, known as Mr. Fingertips for his habit of snapping his opponent's fingers to end many a career. And legends like Glaukos of Charistos, the son of a farmer who used his hands as hammers to mend plows before taking up boxing with devastating effect.
This is a rough, tough world. These are people that you don't want to have to mess with.
names of these legends and others like them are echoes from a golden age of epic heroes. But today, this extraordinary world is somewhat of a mystery. Apart from names of ancient champions, there are few remains of the world in which they lived. Until recently, little was known of the events in which they competed or how they might have compared to athletes today. But the discovery of the athlete of Taranto changed everything. His grave contains secrets that had been locked away for 2,500 years. His bones, direct testimony to a life dedicated to the ancient games. For the 50 years since their discovery, the bones of the athlete of Taranto lay in a provincial Italian museum. No one had subjected them to a thorough scientific study. Until Gaspare Baggieri. Baggieri is a forensic scientist specializing in ancient remains. When he encountered the athlete of Taranto, he found the challenge of revealing the skeleton's secrets irresistible.
Si tratta di uno scheletro di 2500 anni che è arrivato
This
ai
is a
nostri
skeleton
giorni in
from
perfetto stato
2,500
di
years ago
conservazione.
that has
Il
arrived
cranio, la
today
mandibola,
in a perfect state of
complesso
preservation.
di struttura ossea
An
straordinaria che
extraordinary bone
rivela
structure
quanto
that
l'individuo nella
indicates
sua vita sia
an
stato
amazing
attento
state of
proprio
health.
alla
In
cura
his
del
life,
proprio corpo,
he must have
quindi
taken
alla
care of
dieta,
himself
un'nutrizione
in an
molto
obsessive,
rigorosa, osservata.
almost fanatical way.
The health of this athlete is seen in his teeth. They are perfect. In the ancient world, most people ate cereals and vegetables, which ground and decayed their teeth. Our athlete is different. By identifying minerals absorbed in the athlete's bones, it is possible to discover the type of food he ate. Unusual levels of arsenic and strontium suggest a special diet, rich in seafood and meat, high-protein foods, perfect for a competitor. Gaspare Baggieri discovered direct evidence of a revolution that had swept through the sports world sometime around 500 BC. The emergence of the athlete as a dedicated professional supported by an entourage of specialists.
In order to become an athlete, you need to have enough wealth in order to support your own training. This is not inexpensive. You have to have a trainer, you have to have a specific diet, you have to have enough time to train, which means that you can't be spending time going to your fields, tending your flocks, or anything of that sort. You have to devote yourself almost exclusively to training.
The scientific evidence suggests that the athlete of Taranto was one of a new breed of super athlete, committed to full-time training and competition. As well as being well preserved, the skeleton was also remarkably complete. The bones were able to reveal something else archaeologists had always wanted to know: the appearance and physique of an ancient athlete. Using casts of the athlete's bones, experts in medical reconstruction began to rebuild him. Photographs were used to create a template onto which muscles could be built. Matt Payne, a biomechanics expert helped to shape details of how the athlete of Taranto might have looked.
They're almost like time capsules looking back on that person. The living tissues died in them, but the structural support mechanism is still intact. So we've got neck, chest, and upper arm, big, strong, powerful movements for moving, helping move the arm. So lifting, twisting, moving. It's nice to see there was a lot to work with, because there should be the detail to take good, useful measurements off of, and then get a deeper insight into how he might have been structured and put together. Okay, so if we move down to the lower body or the legs, we've got this massive great tibia.
Yeah, very wide, isn't it?
Which is very wide. It's also very deep.
Yeah.
Probably be pretty safe to say the lower leg muscles are very large.
His calf muscles are going to be pretty large.
The investigations of Gaspare Bargeri and the reconstruction team were gradually revealing the athlete of Taranto. The face of a man was emerging. An ancient athlete who would have stood little more than 5.5 feet tall, solidly built, weighing just over 170 pounds. He had broad shoulders and powerful arms, a strong back, and explosive legs, and classic good looks.
So this is a right-in, right-out thing, right? Because you know I'm not a car that likes to sit around. When the world says stop, I got over 150 horses under the hood saying, go, baby, go, don't stop. What are you doing? Stay